Yeah, hi, I'm David Chastain.
And I'm Aaron Miller. We're both from the band Shipwreck Karpathos.
That means at some point there was an evolutionary reason to be afraid of things that looked like they're human, but they're not human.
It's like that part in Streets of Rage 3, you know, where Mr. X turns around and like, because you've beaten Shiva, right? Like you've beaten both versions of Shiva that have come out, and Mr. X turns around and he's like, ha 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 ha.
You've done a really good job.
Thanks, man.
Of making it your own thing.
Hey, thanks.
And still maintaining the vibe.
Thanks.
I love you.
I love you too, bud.
So that's like, your all's guitars, and first of all, like, they sound super rich together.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah, they're like, I mean, when you started playing, it was like the room filled. I mean, obviously there's volume, but
Sure,
like
yeah.
sonically, it's really cool. I mean, I assume that is a plan, but kind of how do you work with each other's tones to kind of like balance out maybe the spaces where one of you's focus? Is there a focus?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's hard because this is half of it.
Yeah, we have
so
two.
we've got another guitarist, we've got bass, we've got piano, and then like specifically this. So that was just the end of the last song on the new record, and
Wait, where can we find that new record?
so it's not out yet. The first single came out
Wednesday.
today.
Today,
Yeah,
actually.
we did the
Oh, yeah, it
early
launched
thing.
today,
Yeah, so
that's
literally like a couple hours ago it came out. It's called Being Human, but the rest of the record is going to be out late this year. Official date TBD.
Right. As far as like filling void or like filling like certain roles or spaces in the sound, like I came into the band like a year and a half ago almost, and the guy that I was replacing did a lot of the like leady type parts, not all of them, but a lot of them. So I've been trying to recreate that and then just sort of slide in and fill the mid-range with more like kind of like a brighter tone, like a guitar, like a rock and roll guitar type sound or whatever. So I just.
What are you using? Is there like a, I don't know, you got a small collection of pedals.
Yeah,
so you're not a huge pedal.
Yeah,
guy at this point.
I have more pedals at home, and I've used other pedals in this band before, but like I recently just kind of in the spirit of filling that sonic space, I just wanted to reduce my signal, I wanted to keep my signal stronger by having fewer things in the chain there, and if I could just so all I have here is the Polytune. The this Albee is a nice little 8 preset like shoegaze in a box type pedal.
Oh, that's really cool.
I mean, it's basically just. This is what I'm typically on because this sort of just fills a little bit of the reverb and adds a bit to the twin, but
Yeah.
But it'll do different. Do different modulations, things like that. Chorus, phaser, echo, tape echo, and stuff. And I'll switch between different effects for different parts of the song. But again, like I'm mostly almost always hanging out just on this one effect here, and then it's all just boosts from there. This Limelight it's a Touche Amore pedal, right? Like a design, the band Touche Amore designed this thing, and it's
Which is, we were talking about it the other day. Touche is actually like a pretty big influence for like just my writing. It has been for this record in particular, and they have the intro to the record is like a very intentional nod to them. They open up. I can't even think of the name of the record right now, but just this real like kind of like breathy 4 or 5 chord thing. And I wish I knew how to play it so I could compare it, but it's I did it as like a nod. We were listening to it the other day, and it was just like, there's some people that might not get that's a nod and might think that like I just copied it, because that's basically what I did.
Yeah. But I think that's like, they may have copied some of that from somebody else.
And that's,
Yeah, and I think it's like, it's really cool whenever you know that deeper story that you now like see it or hear it, and you're like, oh, now I get it. Now I hear what's happening. Like I see why they're doing that. Is there like, I don't know, is there anything else from the record that you feel like are like very obvious like winks to them?
So the title for like 90% of our songs are always nods to other bands, artists, comic books, like things that like directly inspired like either the music or part of the story, because a lot of people don't realize like, but it is a concept album too. This next record is chapter 2. We've got comic books coming later this year, like, but it's always a nod to like something that influenced the project in some way, I'm trying to think like what the most obvious ones are on this.
I was gonna say, can you give an example of that at all?
Being Human, the new single that came out, is a nod to a book that exists in like the Hellboy universe. Mike Mignola is like one of my favorite authors, one of my favorite comic book writers, and that's like my favorite world. And it's the comic book is about like all of these monsters that kind of join up the team and are trying to find their place in this team that exists to fight monsters, right? And just like trying to find like their humanity within that.
So, what I'm hearing is we are to expect a Ron Perlman cameo.
I
in a
wish.
Music video at some
God,
point
that'd
in
be
the
so
future.
sick.
I wish, but
If I could just get him to say "War never changes" once, I'd be set for the grave.
So like for like any comic book nerds that follow us, that'll probably be the most like standout one. For like super huge pretentious music nerds, there's 3 songs on the record that are Life is War, Life Out of Balance, and Life in Transition. And they're all English language translations of I always pronounce these wrong, but like the Cody trilogy, the Philip Glass music documentaries from the 90s. They're just all the English translations of those titles. I'm a huge Philip Glass dork.
That's really cool. So obviously we talked a little bit about his rig and what he's doing. You brought a few more pedals. Could you talk a little bit about what you're using and why you're using it, or how you use it specifically?
Yeah, for sure. So I was actually talking to Brent earlier about how like I'm one of those dudes that like never gets rid of a pedal. Yeah. So this Marshall here, they did these line of like hot rod pedals in the early 2000s. I don't know anybody that bought them, and the few people that I do, I don't know anybody that liked them.
They look like Dan Electro pedals.
Yeah, right.
Like
it was like kind of like their answer to that.
Yeah.
But this delay pedal I've been carrying around since I was like 16, 17 years old, and I still use it pretty regularly. I really like it a lot.
What about it do you like that?
It's real simple, and it's a real basic pedal, but you have so much control over just every aspect of it, It falls into line really well with just the way the rest of my stuff works too. So it's mostly personal preference. But
what else you got?
So this is actually a DL4. I just painted it, and then after I painted it, I realized it just looks like the purple Line 6. I don't even know what that one is. I just made it look like an already other existing pedal, which was kind of stupid.
They'll sue you one day for it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, I got the copper bottom, so it looks like a Duracell battery, but
it's a limited colorway.
Yeah, right. Got my Holy Grail reverb. This is like one of the original ones before they switched over to that micro version of it, which the fine folks here at Indy String actually just fixed this guy for me. It's been out of commission for a while, so this just got back onto my board a couple weeks ago. I got this Seraphim pedal, little boutique shop. I can't remember where the guy's from, but I love his shit. So this is a delay pedal, or not, sorry, a reverb pedal, but it's also got like a shimmer effect to it. So you've got just, regular, nice, cool reverb, and then with the shimmer, turn it up more. You get that kind of like angel chorus sound to it, but it was funny. I bought it. I love the effect. Realized that like I don't have any use for it. Like I can't find a way to use it that like outside of just dicking around that sounds cool. But then I realized that I love just the reverb setting. It's like one of my favorite reverbs I've ever had. And then I've got the Walrus Iron Horse. This is the 2.0, which I'm pretty sure the only thing that actually changed was your shell.
For what it's worth, the Iron Horse, I think, is a severely underrated.
It's so good, right, man? I love it. And I didn't even realize that's what it was until after I played with it a bit, but like I absolutely love it. But I was joking that basically like what I do is I get all of my shit until it sounds like to the point where it sounds like really just like loud and muddy, and then I let Robbie or Hank or somebody just take like 12% off of whatever I'm doing. So,
Make it fit.
You gotta push so that someone else can dial it back for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh God! So I was looking I've always been a Fender guy, which is everybody is. And
Not everybody.
not everybody in this world is.
I think everybody goes through a Fender phase.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
and
for
that's
sure.
not to say there's anything wrong with them. I love my telly, but like, I've always just played like pretty like unextraordinary guitars. Like I like them a lot. Like they're good, but there's just like nothing special to them. And I had been looking for something new, just something that I could get like kind of a nastier sound out of, but like still be able to like cut really through on those clean bits. Something that didn't look like every other guitar that was out there, and just like something that was just like I hate saying this term because it sounds pretentious, but more like a more like pro level guitar to play with. I really didn't know what I want because, like I said, like I know I just kind of go with all of my gear and the way that I write music in general. Like it's never anything technical. It's just more about just like what feels good, like what And so I didn't really know what I wanted, and I just basically just put out a bunch of feelers to like people that like know the sounds that I like and are into, and I had like 4 or 5 different people. And
What's the name of the guitar?
it is a PVT 60.
Is that?
And then it was like a week later, they ended up with one in the shop here, and so I immediately ran in and it's.
I was here.
I love
I was
the
here when
neck
you bought
profile
it.
on the
Right?
T60s.
Yeah,
There's no other guitar that's like it.
It's like just reminiscent enough of like the stuff that you're familiar with, and it's like just a twist enough to like not be corny. You know what I mean?
It's like the uncanny valley of headstocks.
It really is. It's like you have to take a second look at it.
Yeah.
You're like, interesting.
This is completely unrelated, but this is the kind of shit that like keeps me up at night. I was scrolling through the internet, doom scrolling a while back, and it was talking about the uncanny valley and the fact that like when we see things that don't look human and it makes us look that uneasy, that means at some point there was an evolutionary reason to be afraid of things that looked like they're human but they're not human.
I mean, if you go back, like we have Neanderthals, we have the Denisovans, like literally humans.
Sumeria, ancient Sumeria.
We cut through. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know how. Probably good tone. You know what I mean? Or muddy tone. I don't know.
Pro gear and pro attitude. That's
Hell
all they
yeah.
had. That's all they need.
Hell yeah.
Just need pro gear, pro attitude.
Is there anything that you all feel like now that you're through this record cycle, it's coming out, like people are going to hear it, that you're like, I don't know, you're kind of getting bored with, or something that you're interested in next?
So here's the funny thing about that question. This weekend is the 2-year anniversary of us finished recording this record.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
So we've gone through a lot of lineup changes. We've gone through. We recorded at Russian Recording down in Bloomington. We flew in a friend of ours from Oregon. It's Jason Sasoya from the band Coastlands to engineer the whole thing for us. Spent 4 days recording it, and then after we recorded it, skipping steps. We did it all live in the studio. So we took the first day just to set up the drums. There were 6 billion mics, I think, in the room total for the drums.
Makes
and
sense.
then the amps we had all isolated, but we were all in the room together
Right.
playing. And so it's got like, and then it's obviously been polished since then, but like it's got like a very, very cool just like live performance feel to the whole record. But after that, we went in and our friend Dev from Grimoires and Shipwreck Detective, that's a whole nother funny story. He's out in San Francisco. He added some synth layers kind of throughout the record. And then Hank, our piano player, we wrote some trumpet parts to go together. And then our friend Ian, he's in the band Arcader here in town. He did some sequencing for like string sections throughout the whole thing. And that shit just ended up taking forever to get done. And then once it was done, like the record is so dense. So like what I was saying earlier about the last part of that song that we played, that last minute of the record, every single element that exists throughout the record all comes in for like the last
Oh, that's
30,
really
45
cool.
seconds.
So
Yeah.
almost like, whenever you see a stage performance somewhere.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the, overture or whatever is ending, or I don't know what they call it.
Yeah, like a
finale.
finale. Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's what the plan, like that's how I've tried to write like most of the stuff for Shipwreck, is that like because it is a story, but when you're playing an instrumental band, it's kind of hard to like convey that to people that aren't paying like super close attention, which is why we're finally doing the comics and stuff. But like I try to write it very much as like this isn't 7 songs. This is like 7 movements of like one piece of music.
Yeah.
Where was it going? Oh, but all that to say, like it's so dense that just like mixing took a long time.
Of course.
And Jason did an outrageous job. Like he found like the perfect place for like everything that's there. But so that took forever. And then it was funny. We got to mastering, and it was done in 4 days.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. The mixing process
obviously,
is
yeah, for
especially
sure.
when you're adding as many layers
But
as are
it
on
was
the
just
record.
funny. We actually, I don't know if you're T.W. Walsh, Page of the Lion, Starfly 59. He mastered it, and I had no idea. Like I knew that mastering was like a quicker thing, but I was just like, I'm so ready to get this record done. I don't know how long this is going to take. And like he emails me back 4 days, like finished.
Here you go.
And it's the
incredible.
best thing that you've ever had because like it's just he's great. But anyway, so all that to say, yeah, we've had a ton of time that we've been just like sitting on this,
Yeah.
and we still have like another probably like 4 or 5 months before it's going to come out. So the delays have actually ended up being great for that because like since there's been like I've been writing and working on new stuff, but like the focus has been getting the record and everything done. But with that, it's given me an opportunity to like I don't have to worry about a lot of stuff that's usually my main focus for this thing, and that's why we're finally getting to the comic books because I've been able to like it's a story that's always been just kind of like here, like I know it, and if you ask me about it, I can tell you, but like it's never been like actually laid out.
Pen to paper.
Robbie and I for the last year have been really focused on like fleshing out like the lore and the timeline, like the stuff that you're never actually going to even see in the story kind of thing. We're starting a Patreon sometime in the next few months to kind of follow like that process. But I've honestly been as excited about that as I have the music the last like year or so, just because it's developed into just like such like a this deep backstory, and it's gotten so much bigger than it already was that once we start getting pages out, which will probably be like it's gonna be a while, probably like early next year, hopefully at the latest, but
Sometime in 2024.
I'm so excited to finally get this part of the project out after being in this band for a decade. And
Nice.
he's done a really good job too of like, once the record comes out, people will catch more of this. But like what he's doing now does deviate like quite a bit from what he's replaced on the record. And he's done a really good job of like. You've done a really good job.
Thanks, man.
Of making it your own thing.
Hey, thanks.
And still maintaining the vibe.
Thanks.
I
Yeah.
love you.
I love you too, bud.
Hi, I'm David Chastain.
And I'm Aaron Miller. We're both from the band Shipwreck Karpathos.
We're playing POST.fest this weekend. We have a new single called Being Human out today or later, depending on when you're watching this. And you can find us on pretty much all of the social media. Come say hi.